So this class is definitely on this book. Now what happens is, just to start somewhere, you can tell me what you want from this class, only sticking to that book. We will stick to that book. In relation to that book, you can ask anything. And we will also put our phones off now, if you have any. So, do you have anything to add to the agenda?
I have 73 sutras in my Karikas in my mind.
You want to go Karika by Karika and cover the meaning of it.
Yes.
So what is
meaning and the meaning behind.
and you are doing PhD, na?
We all know.
All of you are doing.
And once you finish that, at the end of 73, then what connection is there with yoga? Maybe a small briefing about it.
About consciousness, what they have discussed.
कहाँ पर है
in consciousness.
रजनी कहाँ पर ले से
You have to add anything to this?
The same thing like how
Same.
Sankhya yoga.
Anything else you have in mind already?
No, not really. Yes.
Okay. You are there to say something. You are also doing PhD.
No, I'm doing MA, and we have Indian philosophy this year. So
I also have one
this is the
more.
Jeev Jagat Ishwar we have to learn.
Yes.
73 if you can sing at least once.
All of them.
I've seen some of them.
Sir said Karika can be sung.
Sankhya.
Karika is a singing words.
Do you have anything to add more? Nothing.
No, not really.
What consciousness exactly means?
What does consciousness mean?
According to Sankhya. Consciousness and awareness means according to the
You have anything to add? Anything more? You are...
as such you asked, so I did.
No, that's good.
Otherwise I don't know what I meaning.
Meaning to have.
Anything else?
Maybe once we are done with it, we will come up with some more.
घुमंडी करायची.
Kalya.
Actually, I thought you are the Kavita. So it is engrossed in my mind so much that I cannot think that you are not Kavita.
What is there in there?
So learning is easy,
Address
unlearning
it.
is difficult.
You are doing MA in Sanskrit or PhD? Yoga
MA in
Shastra?
Yoga Shastra.
What about
I'm
this?
doing PhD.
अभी क्या चल रहा है?
You also did MA in Yoga Shastra with her.
She passed patent.
Pradhan also means boss, you know. See, everything is falling
in our
into
favor.
place.
Yes, that's true. I completely agree.
Boss, I put, sorry, I put by mistake.
Okay. Now you have nothing to add, na? What we'll do is this connection to yoga. My background will be my input to this will be that instead of doing it at the end, I want to do it continuously because all of you are yoga students. So definitely you are interested in the connection of Sankhya with yoga. So we should connect that continuously, not only because what happens is that if you are doing any studies in yoga, no? Like suppose you are doing PhD in yoga, then you can use the references of Sankhya or the comparison. Means whenever you are writing something in yoga, you can always think what does Sankhya say. But actually we will do the opposite way. We are studying Sankhya and see what the yoga said. But when you do the yoga, you do the reverse of it. Got it, na? Actually, it should be done reverse because yoga is based on Sankhya. So when you are studying yoga, you should know what Sankhya says. But because you are already knowing yoga, I try to use other way. So some concepts and there are some differences are there. So you should try to know them. But we'll go to those differences only limited because if you go a lot, then it will continue for too long. This workshop. So if you feel that is necessary, we can do some 100 hours workshop or something like that. Because it will go too detailed. If you go into, for example, what does Sankhya say about Prakriti and what does yoga say? I can give you some references, but if you go word by word, then it can go too long. So that's why we should not drag too much onto that. So we are getting late to starting. We'll start this way. Now, I will assume that all of you know Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, which has got. So, because we are going to do this connection, I will sing the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. And there are two purposes. उसका recording चल रहा है ना? There are two purposes of this singing. One purpose of this is for me to recapitulate Yoga Sutras for the purpose of this workshop. So just to repeat again, what I want to do is I want to have a connection between Sankhya and Yoga. So therefore the Yoga philosophy has to come to the surface of my mind. And for that I have to recapitulate the Yoga science, and I am using the Yoga Sutras as the basis because that's classical Yoga philosophy. So that is one reason to do the chanting. The other reason to do chanting is that in my style of teaching yoga, which is called authentic yoga system, chanting is a very important part of the yoga study itself. One reason I already gave you, that it brings the concept to the forefront. The other, there are many reasons, like it improves your memory, whatever. So I always try to impart that understanding that the chanting is a very important part of yoga study, and this is currently not there in the market. So I want to bring that into the market, that every yoga student does some kind of chanting, whatever they can do, chanting of whatever they want in terms of their yoga study. So what we do now is, there are two sessions. One session is today and the other session is tomorrow. So I will now sing the first chapter. That way, and then we'll talk about Sankhya to start with. I got 3 books, I'll read one. So yeah, you can follow the appendix. So Rajini is here, so I put the ampule out. That's what my wife did. सारूप्य वितरत्र वृत्तय पंचतय इष्टाक्लिष्टाः प्रमाण विपर्यय विकल्प निद्रास्मृतय प्रत्यक्षानुमानागमा प्रमाणानि विपर्ययो मिथ्या ज्ञानमतद्रूप प्रतीक्षम् शब्दज्ञानानुपाती वस्तुशून्यो विकल्प अभाव प्रत्ययालम्बना वृत्तिर्निद्रा अनुभूत विषया संप्रमोषस्मृति अभ्यास वैराग्याभ्यां तन्निरोध तत्र स्थितौ यत्नो सुदीर्घकाल नैरन्तर्य सत्कारासेवितो दृढभूमिः दृष्टानुश्रविक विषय वितृष्णस्य वशीकार संज्ञा वैराग्यम् तत्परं पुरुषख्यातेर् गुणवैतृष्ण्यम् वितर्क विचारानन्दास्मिता रूपानुगमा सम्प्रज्ञाद विराम प्रत्ययाभ्यासपूर्वस् संस्कारशेषोऽन्यः भवप्रत्ययो विदेह प्रकृतिलयानाम् श्रद्धा वीर्य स्मृति समाधि प्रज्ञापूर्वक इतरेषाम् तीव्र संवेगानामासन्न मृदुमध्याभिमात्रत्वात् ततो विशेष ईश्वर कर्म विपाकाशयैरपरामृष्ट पुरुष विशेष ईश्वरः तत्र निरतिशयं सार्वज्ञ बीजम् स एष पूर्वेषामभिगुरु कालेनानवच्छेदात् तस्य वाचकः प्रणवः तज्जगत्सदर्थभावनम् ततः प्रत्यक्षेतनाधिगमोऽप्यन्तरायाभावश्च व्याधिस्यान संशय प्रमादालस्या विरतिभ्रान्तिदर्शना लब्धभूमिकत्वा नवस्थितत्वानि चित्तविक्षेपास्तेऽन्तरायाः दुःखदौर्मनस्यां गमे जयत्व श्वासप्रश्वासा विक्षेपसः भुवः प्रतिषेधार्थमेकतत्त्वाभ्यासः मैत्री करुणा मुदितो वीक्षाणां सुखदुःख पुण्या पुण्यविषयाणां भावनातश्चित्तप्रसादनम् प्रच्छदन विधारणाभ्यां वा प्राणस्य विषयवती वा प्रवृत्तिरुत्पन्ना मनसस्थितिनिबन्धिनी विश्वोका वा ज्योतिष्मती क्षीणवृत्तेरभिजातस्येव मणेर्गृहीतृ ग्रहणग्राह्येषु तत्सतरञ्जनता समापत्तिः तत्र शब्दार्थज्ञानविकल्पैः संकीर्णा सवितर्का समापत्तिः स्मृतिपरिशुद्धौ स्वरूपशून्ये वार्थमात्रनिर्भासा निर्वितर्का एतयैव सविचारा निर्विचारा च सूक्ष्मविषया व्याख्याताः सूक्ष्मविषयत्वं चालिङ्गपर्यवसानम् ता एव सबीजः समाधिः निर्विचार वैशारद्येऽध्यात्मसार श्रुतं परा तत्र प्रज्ञा श्रुतानुमान प्रज्ञाभ्यामन्यविषया विशेषार्थत्वात् च संस्कारोऽन्य संस्कार प्रतिबन्धी तस्यापि निरोधे सर्वनिरोधान् निर्बीजः समाधि इति श्री पातञ्जले योगशास्त्रे समाधिनिर्देशो नाम प्रथमः पादः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Good. So now what happens is I recapitulated the first chapter to some extent. Now what we'll do is, the first one is that you will immediately understand that Sankhya and Yoga, they are two different topics and they are definitely related to each other a lot, and actually Yoga philosophy directly comes from Sankhya philosophy in a large amount, and Yoga has done some other work after that. So what I will do now is, I will keep this sheet for the purpose of Yoga and Sankhya comparison. So any topics related to that will write on the sheet. So first thing I want you to understand is that we will not go through the entire etymology of how the philosophy comes, because that will take a long time, and if you do not know that topic, you can either watch my first or second video or contact me again and I will give you some references. But basically you understand that the human being is trying to know the meaning of life. All other animals, they do not try to know the meaning of life. At least that's what we think. So the insentient world, like this book, definitely is not trying to know the meaning of life. The human beings, out of all the living beings, is trying to know the meaning of the life. Now, I read this Sankhyakarika only recently, but what I want to tell you is that one of the Karika, it talks about different kinds of beings in the world. So it is called Sarga, which means Srushti or creation. In the creation there are different types of entities. One of that type is called Manushya, means it is the living, the human beings. And you will find that human beings are only one kind. In the kind of the celestial beings, there are many types. In the sub-human, that is the Narak or the Patal, there are many kinds. but only in the human there is only one kind. And the main property of the human beings is the human being is suffering. That is the main property. All others are not suffering. They might get pain. For example, if you hit a animal, it will have pain, and after some time it will forget the pain. But it is not suffering regardless of something. It is human being is suffering regardless. Means somebody may have a car and another person may not have a car. Both are suffering. One is suffering because they don't have a car. Another is suffering either because they have a car or they have to deal with the car. Somebody may not have a beautiful wife, so he is suffering because he doesn't have a beautiful wife. Another person has a beautiful wife, and due to that he is suffering. He is saying that it is better if my wife was not beautiful. That's what he thinks. That means regardless of whatever you do, the human being is always suffering. Because all the enjoyment you are getting is only from the material world. So it is coming to the senses. The human being is suffering, and that is the main difference. Now what happens is, due to that, the human being is also trying to find out, is there any chance of not suffering? And this is the beginning of all the philosophy. If the human being is not suffering, most of the people will not be interested in philosophy and things like that. So that is exactly what happens in the celestial world. In the difference between the Swarga and Prithvi is this. In the Prithvi, what happens is that suppose I do not have this board to write, and I want this board for my class, then I will try my best to get this board, either by stealing or by begging or by working hard and buying that board. Through this I will go through some suffering because I will have to work, there is raining and I have to go and get that board. So this way, what happens is, which came to my mind. But anyway, this way I will get that thing. That was a point which I was trying to make. Anyway, it will come to my mind some other time. So what happens is that whenever I do something, in that I am trying to find out whether there is a method by which this suffering will not occur. And this is the beginning of the philosophy. Yes. Now that without this suffering, one will not go for the philosophy. That is the point which I was trying to make. So in the difference between the Swarga and Prithvi is this, that in the human kingdom, we are always trying to get what we don't have. We are always trying to get what we don't have. And when we get that, we feel happy. And then after some time, the same thing does not give happiness. Then we want to either get something else, and then we try to get another happiness like this. The same very thing which we were suffering, like suppose somebody was very poor and they were not getting food. Later on they are getting food. They to some extent know that there is a value of that food, and in the past they did not have, so they don't want their children to suffer from that food, and they tell the children to get more marks and whatever, so that they don't go through that experience. But actually, after getting that food, now they have still a suffering. For example, they may have some other thought in mind or something else they want, or they want their children not to get that suffering. Whatever way they go, they will always have that suffering is coming. Now, this is called a negative enjoyment. That means you are enjoying because there was something not there and that you got. Actually, in the Bhagavad Gita, there is one word, it's called Yogakshemam Vahamyaham. Yogakshem means obtaining of a thing which you did not have before. The meaning of yoga in every place is different in Bhagavad Gita, and that is one problem in the Bhagavad Gita. Actually, Bhagavad Gita is not a well written text, just to make this statement. So, due to that, it's very difficult to understand Bhagavad Gita, and not only difficult, but you can understand Bhagavad Gita in many ways. and afterwards you don't know what was the real way. And that is the main basis of all the acharyas fighting with each other. Because one says that no, that's not what he is saying. He's not talking about Brahman anywhere. He's talking about Lord only, saying that give up everything and surrender to me. What are you talking about? There is no Brahman. All the people are not equal. He's saying that you do not know all the lives. I know the all lives. And you are telling that Brahman is same, is exactly same in the dog and this and that. No, that's not true. That's what the Advaita Vedanta is saying. But in the yoga, but Yogakshemam means obtaining what you did not have. And that is why they are doing the yajna. Now, in the human kingdom, all the enjoyment is coming because you don't have something. When you get that thing, what you don't have, you feel happy. That is how all the enjoyment in the human kingdom is obtained. You will find that everything we obtain is creating the happiness. We are not able to be happy without getting anything. We are always interested in getting something, whatever it is, knowledge, whatever, something which you don't have. So, even on the senses, when you are hungry, then only you feel enjoyment of eating. If you are already full, she gave me a beautiful meal earlier. I'm